Hello, this is how to install Windows 11 Pro on a VirtualBox virtual machine. I searched on Google Windows 11 ISO. I got to this web page. We want to select Windows 11 Multi-Edition ISO for x80 or x64. Download now. Choose language English United States. Confirm. And this is our ISO. The ISO file has finished downloading. Let's create a VirtualBox virtual machine. VirtualBox, machine, new. Let's select the ISO, this guy. Downloads, open, name Win11. It has detected automatically details about the ISO, so it's Windows 11, various versions, x64. I'm going to select skip unattended installation. Next, let's allocate as many CPU threads as possible. It automatically has enabled EFI instead of BIOS. Let's make this 10 gigabytes of random access memory. Hard disk, let's make this 200. The hard disk is not going to be 200 gigabytes from the start. It's going to increase as needed. If you want it to always be 200 gigabytes on the hard disk of the host computer, then you should pre-allocate full size. I have never pre-allocated full size in 20 years. Finish. Okay, let's start the virtual machine. Press any key to boot from the ISO. Let me look at the settings first. It also has a floppy disk. EFI without secure boot. And storage SATA. Networking Intel 1000. Looks okay. Language English next in the Windows 11 install wizard. Keyboard US. Install Windows 11. I don't have a product key. We're 4 pages into the installer wizard, and now we get at the point where we should select the Windows 11 edition that we want. I have almost always installed this version, Windows 11 Pro. Why Windows 11 Pro is better than Windows 11 Home? Because of the limitations that exist in Windows 11 Home. Limitations related to local group policies, remote desktop server, etc. Accept. It could find the hard disk without additional drivers because it's standard SATA. And this has started the actual installation. So formatting the hard disk, creating an MBR partition table or a GUID partition table, creating the partitions inside, formatting as NTFS, copying files from the ISO towards C:\Windows, etc. The computer has restarted the first time. The progress went towards 77% and then it restarted the first time. We'll still need to wait. Let's look again at the settings. So Windows 11 would prefer to use EFI, not BIOS. This is available to the virtual machine. Would want TPM. TPM is available in the virtual machine. Would want secure boot, but secure boot is disabled in the virtual machine. And we are nearing to another installer wizard. United States. We're getting close to the tricky place where Windows 11 wants to require a Microsoft account, a Hotmail account, a M365 online account, email account, in order to use your computer. Which I do not want. I always use a local Windows user account, the way I have always used Windows. I don't provide any email addresses when creating my Windows user. Naming the device. At this point, it asks if I want to use for work or school. So that would mean using the software as a service offerings from Microsoft, such as M365, or maybe an Active Directory domain setup. I have selected home use. The fact that it tries to check for Windows updates tells me that probably networking already works, and maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe I should have disconnected the network interface card before starting the installer. We'll see how easy it will be to create a local Windows user account. Doesn't sound like the fact that I had the network interface card enabled was a good idea. It will update, whatever that means, either installing Windows updates or installing a newer version of Windows 11. But then I have downloaded the latest and greatest build that's available from Microsoft, Windows 11. From the year 2024, the second half. Who knows, maybe there's a newer version of Windows 11 than this version. So it's downloading the entire ISO, as it were, again, and it's installing Windows on top of this Windows. The Windows 11 installer has decided to download updates and install them, and that took more than 10 minutes. And now it asks if I want the M365 experience, which I don't. Unlock your Microsoft experience. What do I do now? Shift F10, let's see if OObe continues to work. For now, it continues to work. So I have opened a cmd.exe, which is the Windows command line terminal, using the key combination Shift F10. And then in cmd.exe, I wrote the name of a directory, which is oobe, out of the box experience, and then backslash, and then bypass on nro.cmd. United States, yes. US, skip. We're following some of the steps that we already did follow from the Windows 11 installer. Okay, Win 11. Installing Windows 11 is not that easy. But then it's not that bad either, in the sense that I don't see any advertisements. So all of the things, the bad things that I hear about Windows 11 don't apply to me. Personal use next. As long as I can use Windows 11 Pro and use a local Windows user account, Windows 11 is okay for me. This is a bad place to be. I don't see any button where I could avoid using M365. That's why we went with bypassnro. In order to have in here a button, use a local Windows user account instead. I totally do not want to create any Microsoft account or provide a phone number, a Skype number, an email address. Nope. So probably I'm using the correct ISO, which is not recent enough, is from 2024, which still allows you to create a user account, a local user account. But then, unfortunately, I kept the internet connection available during the installer, and Windows 11 tricked me. It downloaded a newer version of Windows 11, installed that, and this newer version doesn't allow me to use a Windows local user account. So I want to redo everything from scratch. I'm going to delete the virtual machine, recreate it, and this time disconnect the networking until after I have managed to create the local Windows user. So let's see how that works. So I'm shutting down the machine and then I'm going to delete it. Remove. Delete all files. New virtual machine. Win 11. No unattended installation. Next. Random access memory 10 gigabytes. maximum vCPUs, 200, finish. And before starting, I'm going to disconnect the network interface card, which is in the tab network. There's just one network interface card, the adapter one. So I'll have it cable disconnected. So I have unchecked the checkbox cable connected. Okay. Let's see if the setting has stuck. This should be it. Start. And now we're doing all of the steps in the Windows 11 installer wizard that you saw previously. But hopefully this time oobe backslash nro.cmd thing will work correctly. I agree. Next, I don't have a product key. Bypass nro.cmd. Pro. Next. Accept. Correct hard disk. Next. Install. This progress is going to advance until 77% and then restart the computer. Restarting the computer, and then a second installer wizard will start. United States, US, no, second keyboard layout. I don't want any internet, please. What do we do now? It refuses to continue because there's no internet connectivity. Shift F10. Hopefully this time works. And then that would make the instructions on how to install Windows 11 Pro in a VirtualBox VM be: make sure you're not using the latest and greatest Windows 11 ISO, but the Windows 11 2024 H2 ISO, and make sure the network interface connections are disconnected when you install the operating system. But who knows if it's going to be so easy. I don't have internet. Yes, I don't. This button did not exist before the I don't have internet. What did I do? Who's going to use this device? Okay, so this is the first local Windows user that's being created, which I usually call admin. Password really short, it's a virtual machine. Random questions, random answers. Okay, the hard part is over. we managed to create a local Windows user account, one that's member of the administrator's local Windows user group. This user has complete rights over the Windows installation. You can elevate as administrator with providing just the password of this user. And we're logged into the Windows desktop. This is the default experience. We still don't have internet connectivity, which means the advertisement applications did not manage to get installed yet. So let's do some settings. Let's search for suggestions. Start menu. I don't want recommendations at all, so I'm going to go with more pins. I don't want recently added apps. I don't want recommended anythings. Don't recommend anything. I'm not sure what this thing is. Okay. Nothing seems to have changed. Okay, from here on, it's up to you how you configure Windows, the installation for the current user. The thing that I do with a VirtualBox virtual machine is that I'm not using this window, the Oracle VM VirtualBox, because resizing does not work, copy-paste of text does not work. What I do is I connect to this virtual machine using remote desktop protocol. Windows 11 Pro has a built-in Windows remote desktop protocol server. I enable that and I connect to that. You can do it in multiple ways, such as like this. Right-click on the Start menu and then System. And then at Advanced System Settings, Remote tab, allow remote connections to this computer, apply. Okay. And now I really need an internet connectivity. In the VirtualBox virtual machine settings, I can enable the checkbox cable connected for the first network interface card. And this probably turns on the internet connectivity without restarting the computer. Okay. And now we can find out the IPv4 address of the computer. So that's right-click and terminal. Let's see what this thing is. PowerShell. Wow. Let's open a cmd.exe. How do we do that? Okay. ipconfig/all Intel 1000 network interface card from the virtualization software from the virtual machine. And the IPv4 address is this one with 2.17. Unfortunately, the default networking in VirtualBox is NAT, Network Address Translation, and that means that from the virtual machine you can connect to the internet, but then from the host computer you cannot connect to the virtual machine. So that means we'll need to do a port forwarding rule for the TCP port of the RDP server, Remote Desktop Protocol server. oobe TCP. I need to be super user. So right click on cmd.exe, run as administrator. Yes, doesn't require any user and password. It's going to use the current user, which can elevate as administrator. Doesn't require the password because we're already logged in as that user. Let's start oobe TCP. We want to see what is the TCP port where the Remote Desktop Protocol server is listening to. So it's listening all network interface cards. The process probably this is the Windows service name that's hosted by the process svc host.exe, and it's called term service for terminal services. This is the process ID. We're interested in just listing the port 3389. 3389. Let's do a port forwarding rule. Settings, network, advanced, port forwarding, add rule that this would be RDP. You can put anything in here, protocol TCPS, host and guest. Host, I'm going to guess it's the non-virtual machine, so the computer that hosts the virtual machine. And what should we put in here? Let's put 5 instead of the first 3. So 5, 3, 8, 9. Okay, host port, not host IP, but host port. And guest port starts with 3. I'm not sure if I need to put IPv4 addresses in here, but we could do. So this is the address 10.0.2.15 for the guest, and for the host it's going to be the local loopback network interface card. Okay, and okay. If you change the port forwarding, you don't need to restart the virtual machine. And now you can use any Remote Desktop Protocol client application to connect to the virtual machine. If you're on Windows, you're probably going to use the default built-in Remote Desktop Protocol client. Also on Windows, there's the Microsoft sysinternals RDC man, Remote Desktop Connection Manager, which is this guy. You can download just this application as a zip file, or even better, you can download the entire sysinternals suite as a zip file. And inside there should be the rdcman.exe. This I always prefer Remote Desktop Connection Manager over the built-in Windows RDC Remote Desktop Protocol client. And my host machine is running Linux. This is Ubuntu 2504, and I'm going to use a RDP client, which is called X3 RDP. This is my wiki page and mariusp.github.io. RDP, go at the end. We need a command line like this one. I'm not sure how to set the port. The username is just admin, not administrator. So just the port is what is missing right now. Okay, let's put the standard output from the manual page into a plain text file. Let's search for port. Is just /v server port. How convenient. Okay, so the command line is the executable, that's the graphical user interface, RDP remote desktop protocol client, user, Windows user, the initial resolution. You can change the resolution as you want by resizing the remote desktop protocol client window. This is the computer that it's going to connect to, which is localhost, and then to this port, which is port forwarded towards the virtual machine by VirtualBox. This is the best performance possible, and this is telling it that we want the sound from the virtual machine to be available on the host machine. Let's see if this works. I have never connected to this computer before. Do you want to connect? Yes. Unfortunately, the computer has the wrong name. I wanted it to have the name Win11, but it has this random number. This random name. It has disconnected the interactively logged on Windows user. Has connected me via the RDP protocol. And then that's it. This is the RDP client. A feature that I really like is the fact that however I resize the window, the RDP client window is going to tell Windows 11, hey, please use this resolution. There's no stretching and there's no vertical or horizontal scroll bars. And then copy paste works. And then also the performance is really good inside the virtual machine. Everything's very snappy, and also video playback in YouTube should work okay inside the web browser. Let's copy paste some text. And you can work side by side. You can have on half of your screen the Windows virtual machine, and on the other half your usual host machine, your web browsers and everything. So copy paste from the host to the guest works correctly. And from the virtual machine towards the host operating system also works correctly. This is it. We managed to install Windows 11 Pro in a virtual machine using the virtualization software VirtualBox, Oracle VM VirtualBox. It wasn't that easy because we need to know a few tricks in order to install Windows 11 Pro. It was free, didn't cost anything, it was gratis because we took the ISO from the official Microsoft website. We didn't need to have any license key, we don't need to do any sort of license key activation, we didn't need to call anything on our phone, we're not using any online accounts, we're using a local Windows user account. And in order to achieve that, you need to use an older version of Windows 11 ISO. The one that's the default in here offered by Microsoft is still okay. And the version is 2024 H2, so the second half of 2024. But you need to make sure that the virtual machine doesn't have network connectivity when you install the operating system. And that's done by inside the virtual machine settings, you go network, adapter 1, advanced, and you uncheck the checkbox cable connected. It will the installer Windows 11 installer will refuse to continue because it will say that networking is mandatory in order to finish installing Windows. So it will ask me to enable networking or provide a network driver for my network interface card, whatever. That's a dead end. And in order to exit that dead end, you need to open cmd.exe, that's Shift F10 key combination, so the F10 key. And then inside you need to write oobe backslash bypassnro.cmd. This will restart the Windows computer, the VirtualBox virtual machine. It will restart part of the installer wizard for Windows 11 Pro. And after a number of steps, it will have a button, I do not have an internet connection. Once you click on it, it does what we expect, which is it allows us to create a local Windows user account. And then it will finish the installer wizard and start the Windows desktop. At that point, I enable networking in the virtual machine, I enable the RDP remote desktop protocol server, and I connect to the virtual machine using the RDP protocol. I don't really need any Oracle VM VirtualBox windows. But unfortunately, if you try to close the window, it will ask if you want to stop somehow the virtual machine, which is not what we want. So on Windows, I usually had an application that allowed me to minimize to tray any Windows application, and that I would use to have the Oracle VM VirtualBox window minimized inside the system tray. Otherwise, it's going to take a spot inside the taskbar, which is not great because I do not want things that I don't use in this most important and most visible part of the desktop. This is it. Thank you. Now I remember that as a new feature, which was added a number of years ago, when you start a virtual machine in VirtualBox, there's three different ways of starting it. Let's see if we can get there. So close, save. And now when we start the virtual machine, there's this drop-down button. We could use normal start, headless start, or detachable start. So maybe one of these two, headless or detachable. Let's go with headless start. The VirtualBox virtual machine is running. It's probably doing some screen saving in the login screen, which means that we can probably connect via the remote desktop protocol. And it disconnects once, I'm not sure why, but then a second time it does work. And now we can close the Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager window. Everything works as it should inside the Windows 11 virtual machine. Thank you.